Hey, thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're going to talk about the greater biblical meaning of the Passover. Meaning and the higher meaning behind things is oftentimes a prominent discussion point when it comes to discussing the biblical issues and discussing theology. People want to understand what is going on behind the scenes. What is it that is the greater meaning behind this that allows us to work it all into our understanding of how the whole world works, of how everything fits together. And therefore, because people want to know that, oftentimes a lot of teachers and a lot of pastors focus on teaching what they think the meaning behind things is. The problem is, most of the time, these meanings do not come from the biblical text itself. A lot of times they are just amounting to conjecture based upon the person's personal beliefs. And so if it's just conjecture based upon a person's personal beliefs, therefore it may misguide people, it may direct people to do things that aren't actually in line with the biblical text. It may lead to people misunderstanding what it is they're supposed to do because they're operating out of that understanding, the understanding of that person's personal beliefs about the meaning behind something. But in this case, we are actually going to be looking at what the text says. The text actually tells us in Exodus 12 what the meaning of the Passover is, and actually tells us how it is that we are supposed to be teaching this to our children. Whenever they ask us about what is this Passover you're doing, what is it, we are supposed to be telling them what it is. And there's actually an explanation for us that's already given to us. And I want to specify before we read this that I use the word Kemet to refer to the land of Israel's servitude, the land of their captivity under Pharaoh. So let's go into Exodus 12, verses 26 through 27. And it shall be that your sons shall say to you, what is this service to you? And you shall say, it is Passover slaughter to Yahuwah, which he passed over on houses of sons of Israel in Kemet, in his striking Kemet, and he caused to deliver our houses. Now, this is kind of an interesting passage for a number of reasons. For one thing, it's obviously not in line with teaching this higher meaning that's not actually according to the biblical text, not according to the biblical law. It's not in line with a lot of these later teachings that have been added to it. And it's also interesting because it's given to us, as I mentioned, in this frame of teaching it to our children. It's telling us how is it that we are supposed to be talking about the Passover. And it says that the Passover is representative of how God destroyed the people, Pharaoh and his people that had enslaved the Israelites, and caused to deliver the Israelites whenever he passed over their houses. And he provided deliverance for Israel. And of course, we know that that resulted also in the Exodus, and then that resulted in them being brought toward the land of Canaan. And so this meaning that we are given, the meaning of him passing over the houses of the Israelites, is the meaning we are told to teach. If we are teaching our children about what is this, this is what we are told to be saying. It's kind of interesting because if someone was to try to teach that today with later beliefs in mind, in order for them to teach those later beliefs, they would have to be changing what was said here. They would have to be saying, well, it says this, but the real meaning is, such and such. Is that in line with the biblical text? Is that what it says we're supposed to be teaching our children? Is that what Exodus 12 tells us to say? In fact, it's not. And when we look at also later in the law, it uses the same frame of how are we supposed to teach our children in talking about the law itself. Let's look at Deuteronomy 6, verses 20 through 25. That your sons shall ask you tomorrow to say, What are the testimonies and the enactments and the judgments which Yahuwah our Elohim commanded you? And you shall say to your son, Servants we were to Pharaoh and Kemet, and Yahuwah caused us to go forth from Kemet in fixed hand. And Yahuwah gave signs and miracles, great ones and evil ones, in Kemet, in Pharaoh, and in all of his house to our eyes. And he caused us to go forth from there, to purpose of causing us to come, to give to us the land which he has sworn to our fathers. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all of these enactments, to fear Yahuwah our Elohim, to good to us all of the days, to live us as this day. And righteousness shall be to us, that we shall guard to do all of this commandment to faces of Yahuwah our Elohim, as which he commanded us. What does this passage tell us about the law and about the commands, and what does it say that we should be saying about the law to our children? It talks about when our children ask us about what are these commandments that you've been given, we are supposed to be telling them that our people were captive under Pharaoh and servitude, but God caused many miracles to come upon them, the plagues and the wonders, and he delivered us from the land of our captivity. And he brought us out to bring us into the land of Canaan which he has promised to Abraham, our ancestor. And we are also told that righteousness shall be to us. It says that by following the law, it will be good to us all the days, that it will result in living, and that it will result in righteousness. So this provides definitely an interesting interpretation of what the law is supposed to be about. And indeed, it is the commanded interpretation, effectively. These later interpretations, once again, about what is the higher meaning of the law, what is the greater meaning of the law, shouldn't we be asking that of the author of the law? Shouldn't we be looking to the law to tell us what it is that it is about, what it is that it means, and what its purpose is? The purpose of the law is for righteousness. The purpose of the law is for us to follow after him and to be given life, and for us to have good given to us, and so that we will move into the land of Canaan. And the purpose of the Passover is representative of the fact that God passed over the Israelites' houses while they were under the captivity of Pharaoh, and he delivered their houses when he struck Pharaoh and his people. These are the greater meanings of these things. This is the greater meaning that we should be teaching, not these other meanings that are not according to the text. We should be teaching according to the biblical law, according to what it says. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you enjoy your Feast of Unleavened, and be sure to check out some of my other videos and to stay in touch so we can continue this conversation. Thanks for watching. Remember the commands. Peace.